Hi everyone, Squidorable here. Welcome to another Slasher Chatter. I figured we'd do a little gotcha before we did, the chatting part. What is this? Screw Loose Lifeguard. Okay, so that's a new killer we got. We can be a lifeguard if we want. I don't particularly... Oh my gosh, you can be a gelatinous cube. President Skullface, Plague Doctor. Oh, that's cute. Okay, so you can be all kinds of stuff. We're going to be a gelatinous cube. We've unlocked Santa's sleigh and My Gory Valentine. So I'm thinking, let's try Santa's sleigh. Previously banned in Canada.
365 killing days until Christmas. Sleigh Awakening. Santa's sleigh.
Yay! New killer unleashed, Santa Skullface. No, I left my Photoshop open. Close that down. Don't want those resources eaten up. So, today I was thinking to talk a little bit about anime. Anime is so prevalent now. And what's funny is it didn't used to be. Oh, I missed these guys up here. I've screwed up already. I first saw, okay, so there's like two things, right? You've got anime when you knew it was anime, and then anime that you didn't know was anime. That's an experience a lot of us had as kids who grew up in the 80s and 90s, early 90s at least. Before Pokemon got big, right? You didn't know anime was anime. You didn't know that Voltron was Japanese. There was no reason to think it was. For me, the first anime that I ever saw that I didn't know was an anime was, I think it was The Woozles. If I step on these, I die. See? Interesting. Okay, so it was The Woozles. There were, on Nickelodeon, back in the very late 80s, like 88, 89, 90, there were these two shows about koalas. They had two separate anime about koalas. There was The Woozles, and I forget what the other one was called. I'm sorry, the Noozles. Was it the Noozles or the Woozles? I think maybe it was the Noozles. Anyway, it was about cute little koala bears. It's weird that there were two koala bear anime, but there were. Yes, I need a hint. Fast forward's a solution, but maybe you want a hint first? Yeah. What's the hint? You should scare the elf on the left into the mine on the right. Make sure there's someone nearby first. I mean, I kind of figured that, but the first anime that I remember actually seeing that was anime was Sailor Moon. No, I'm getting this wrong. It was in 1995, I believe. And I was watching it on a local channel. It aired locally in a lot of places, and it would air every morning. And I think it was 6 a.m. was Sailor Moon, and it was every weekday morning. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was. Every weekday morning at 6 a.m. And so I would specifically wake up at 6 a.m. to watch Sailor Moon, and only for Sailor Moon. That's not right. because I still have this mine over here. Sailor Moon it wasn't popular. There was merchandise. It was very, very rare, very hard to find. They had dolls. The dolls were terrible. Like later they released dolls that look a lot better, by the company Irwin. But until that happened, sorry, I'm thinking. No, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so I remember being the only person I knew, except for one other person who was my friend, who watched Sailor Moon. Nobody else knew what it was. And that's when I learned it was Japanese, because I got on the internet early in life. That's not right. Yeah, that just doesn't work. So getting on the early internet, that's how I found out it was Japanese, right? And you could kind of figure it out because the show did have Japanese writing. They didn't completely cut out of it. You know, when Pokemon got dubbed, and I think it was 98. I think it was 98, 99? They cut out like all the Japanese writing of the first few seasons. They didn't do that with Sailor Moon. They did it sometimes, but not all the time. But on the early internet, there was a huge community for Sailor Moon. It was gigantic. Here we go. I don't know if you guys remember web rings. Web rings were really fun. They don't exist on today's internet, because today's internet is it's kind of crap. It's all social media, right? The old internet didn't used to be like that. I sound like an old woman. I'm the hag in me, right? There was web crawler was what everybody used. I'm getting off topic, but web crawler was the search engine everybody used back then. There was Alta Vista, there was Ask Jeeves, there was Yahoo, but it was web crawler, which incidentally, if you mixed up the W and the L, brought you to a porn site. Excuse me.
Stop right there.
But Sailor Moon websites were really important, and actually that brings me to wanting to talk about the websites specifically. Later on in the 98, 99 and beyond, there was this website called Save Our Sailors, because something that a lot of people don't realize is Sailor Moon I did that wrong. Sailor Moon didn't have a bunch of it translated. They ended up doing probably about 2/3 of the way through the second season, and then it was stopped. And so it kind of just didn't exist until Cartoon Network picked it up in the late 90s, and Cartoon Network was when they created Toonami. The creation of Toonami is when Sailor Moon was back on Western television, and that was really awesome. Nope, that doesn't work. But Toonami made it popular enough in the West. It was like a resurgence. It was crazy to see as somebody who had watched it originally on television when it first came out. to see Toonami bring an anime back to life in the West, there's nothing like it. It was magical. And a big part of that was this website called Save Our Sailors, SOS, where people wrote in petitions and it told people how to organize. You might still be able to find it out there. But Webrings, it was part of a Webring. And Webrings used to be, if you made a website and you wanted people to see it and it was about a certain subject, you joined a Webring. And so you could click forward and backward and it would take you through all the sites that belong to this ring of sites. I miss that. We don't have anything like that anymore. We've just got Google, and Google's crap. You can't find anything on Google. I use Yandex most of the time for if I'm like actually trying to locate something, because you can't locate anything on Google. It's all just so hyper sanitized, and I don't know. It sucks. So anyway, back to anime. My first anime was Sailor Moon. But soon after Sailor Moon, I got into other anime. Uh-oh. Oh no! I killed that other guy too early. Now I'm stuck. You see that? Okay. But video rental stores were where you could see other anime, you know, before they were really aired on television. I remember some of the shows I first watched were because of video rental stores. So after Sailor Moon, there really wasn't anything else on television that was anime. This is around 95, 96. I started getting into it at video rental stores because there were a few at video rental stores. There was, let's see, Urusei Yatsura, the original. That's why I haven't really watched the reboot, because the original is so brilliant. Like, it really is. The original Urusei Yatsura is amazing. Ranma 1/2. Again, haven't watched that reboot, and I specifically didn't watch that reboot because I love the original. Record of Lodoss War. Now that's a good one. Record of Lodoss War is a classic that if you like fantasy at all, you need to watch. Like, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts. You need to watch it. I'm trying to think of others. There was Crying Free Man, which I did not like, but I saw that one a lot. Urotsuka Doji. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. Ninja Scroll. Big one. Like, every Blockbuster, every Hollywood video, they all had Ninja Scroll. But I remember there was this policy that Blockbuster had. It was so ridiculous. The policy that Blockbuster had was this. It was that anime was unrated. And because anime was unrated, that meant when I tried to rent Nazca, Legend of the Valley of the Wind, or whatever it is, right? I've still never seen Nausicaa, because when I tried to check it out, it was showing up as unrated, and my dad refused to rent it for me. Because to Blockbuster, everything unrated was NC-17. So it was the same as when I tried to rent Evil Dead with my dad. He was like, no, because that's unrated. And so it refused. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Oh, this is frustrating. I'm so close to getting it. But I'm not sure that I can. I think I screwed it up. But anime, I don't know. I'm happy that so much anime is now available, but there was something that felt special about it back then. Because people didn't know what it was. People didn't understand it. You know, and that has its own appeal. I've actually started recollecting some of the old Sailor Moon dolls, the ugly ones. I'm trying to find the 12-inch Jupiter with the first wave, because the first wave, it's so silly, but they all had Sailor Moon's boots. They all have their own boots in the original show. But for some reason, all of the original dolls had boots, and the only doll I managed to get my hands on was Sailor Jupiter. So I'm thinking of trying to get her, but I have not found one for sale yet, funnily enough. Here we go. I think this is what I need to do. No, that's not right. Shoot. Because if I kill him, I still don't have a way to end at the pentagram. Yeah, there's something here I'm missing. So, you know, early anime was fun. I remember there was Sci-Fi before it became Syfy. SYFY. But Sci-Fi Channel, back when it was the Sci-Fi Channel, used to have Saturday night anime. And that was a crazy experience, Saturday night anime. I absolutely loved it. I saw Gotcha Man for the first time there. I don't remember much about Gotcha Man, but I saw it. Let's see here. I got it! Yes! They showed the Urusei Yatsura movie, the second, I think it was the second one, Beautiful Dreamer. And they only had the rights to that one. Galaxy Express 39, the movie, was another one, too. And Captain Harlock. I remember watching all of those, staying up late on Saturday nights. That was really, really fun. And this is before Toonami picked up much in the way of anime. Back then it had like Sailor Moon, it had Dragon Ball Z, and I think that was it at the start. Voltron might have been involved. I seem to remember seeing Voltron on Cartoon Network. But I don't know if it was part of the original Toonami lineup or not. Yeah, I screwed that up. You know, but there was a certain... Nope, he's gonna escape if I do that. There was a certain charm to anime back when it was first starting out in the West that... Maybe it's that kind of elitism, right? I could see it kind of being elitism. It's like... I miss being the only people who knew about it, you know? It had a charm to it. I used to have a Ryuoki backpack from Tenchi Muyo. Tenchi Muyo was another big one. Tenchi! Hollywood Videos had a lot of Tenchi. Bubblegum Crisis. But I used to have a Ryuoki backpack, and I went to an anime convention in like 2001. You know, not... That's not in the early days. That's when anime had started becoming popular, but it was really fun. Slayers. Slayers was a big one. Slayers is one of my favorites. No, that's not right. So, yeah, I mean, anime. I don't know, man. As a hag, that's the thing about anime is it felt special. It doesn't feel all that special anymore, and I've kind of lost interest in a lot of modern anime, which, you know, I don't like that I've lost interest in it. I think there's a lot of merit to a lot of modern anime, but I don't know. I feel like some of the fun has been taken out of it. I've been rewatching old episodes of Sailor Moon. And it just kind of confirms my thoughts on that, you know? There we go. Oh, shoot, I messed up. There we go, I did it! But there's just something to it. I don't know if it's the humor. I miss kind of the old standards of anime. Not quality standards, but like, you know, the silly thing when people would fall over when somebody said something stupid or weird. You don't really see stuff like that in anime these days. Those little things, like ridiculous expressions. And I gotta say, the cell animation, since anime went digital, it just hasn't quite felt the same. Like, you'll have beautiful animation, but it's not the same. So I guess I'm kind of a, I don't know. I'm gonna say it. An old hag. That's what I am. I come from those days. And that's just how it's how it is, you know? So I guess that'll be it. I've been rambling about anime for a while now. I just wanted to talk to you guys about anime and back when it first started. And what was your first anime? Is the question I want to ask you, because mine was the Noozles. The Noozles. I don't remember what the other. There was one of the anime with the koalas. The girl was pink and the boy was blue, and the other one, the boy was just a koala gray color, and he had like, I think he had red overalls on. I remember watching those on Nickelodeon. No clue they were Japanese. Nobody knew back then. Because a lot of shows were animated by Japanese studios too, like Transformers and Thundercats and all of that. So there was this kind of mix of animation back in the day. But that's all I wanted to talk about today. Thank you for coming to chat with me. I will see you next time. Bye.